Ensemble concert number 4 for the 24-25 year, rain and power outage delay. So thank you for your patience as we did something that I've never had to deal with in 23 years of teaching, which is reschedule something due to weather. So thanks for being here. Thanks for coming out on a lovely evening as opposed to last night. Not so lovely. We've got a great program for you today. And to start it off will be Cody Ford conducting a piece by Richard Saucedo, Fanfare for the Third Planet.
you all again. Program, Fanfare for the Third Planet. Our theme kind of this evening is music about our planet. We're going to kind of go everywhere. So, first piece opens, nice fanfare, you guys know how I am. That's loud. The second piece that we're going to do is explore the rocks and mountains of Scotland, my favorite places on earth. This next piece is made up of two folk tunes, Wild Mountain Thyme and The Braes of Buckhill. What San Pedro does is just creates this beautiful blossoming thing, really nice melodic music that kind of by the middle or so just lets you see kind of all the beauty that encapsulates the landscape that we're talking about. So I really hope you enjoy San Pedro's Wild Mountain Thyme. piece is a delightfully strange and weird one. And I mean that in the best way. So, the composer, Alex Shapiro, has written a couple works for band that kind of push the boundaries of what normal things that we do. And the most famous one probably that they've done is Paper Cut, which calls for, you know, the ripping and shredding and volume of paper as part of the soundscape. This piece kind of does the same thing in a kind of different manner, in that it's this kind of Latin-y dance party thing, and it has an electronic backing track that you'll hear, all of that wrapped up in about a 3.5-minute piece. It's quite good. I will not be conducting it. Dr. Dempster will not be conducting it. So what does that mean? We actually have a student in the ensemble who's going to get up, and the most terrifying thing you can do as a student, but they're doing so well at it. Our clarinet player, Faith Wesley, who's composed the competition, she's actually going to conduct the ensemble in this piece. So if you'll give it up for Faith Wesley.
no idea who this Thomas Dempster guy is. I've never seen him before. I've never heard of him. I've heard he's kind of a jerk. No. Those of you who don't know, last year, most of this group behind me decided that they're going to be really good at what they do, and level rep, and decide that they're going to outscore all the rest of the 3A bands, which there are 58 3A programs in the state, and decide, you know, we're going to do so well, we're going to get a state title in concert band state assessment. We went to state assessment again this year as the honor band. So what happens when you're very good at something and you plead competence? They make you do more work. So instead of 3 pieces, we performed 5. We performed a full-length half-hour concert on stage up in Jonesboro. And I decided in a very strange way to thank them by giving them a relatively hard piece that I wrote specifically for them. It is dedicated to them. It is dedicated to their efforts and their labors. It is dedicated to the kids behind me who put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of energy into playing a bunch of instruments. And it's just kind of weird when you think about it. All these instruments are kind of unergonomically friendly. They make a lot of strange noises. They don't make sounds like each other. Yet somehow we all find a way to sit down next to each other, or across from each other, with each other, and do something that unifies us. If only we could extend that to everything we do. So this piece, Asterism, you can read the program notes. I wrote voluminously this time around like I do. So I won't talk as much. It didn't work, sorry. But it is dedicated to them. It is my appreciation for them. It is my gratitude to them. And they're doing a, pardon the pun, stellar job with it. So hope you enjoy my work for them, Asterism. so thank you all for that. That was quite stellar. Appreciate it. Now comes the evening, since this is the May concert and this is the last one of the year, and the last one that the seniors behind me will be playing in is the time that I make sure that they're either wearing a waterproof mascara or none at all. So, yeah, it's not going to be quite as long as last year. I swear to God, I was up here for like 6 hours. Right? Like, yeah, you can talk, yeah, you can watch it. I'm going to go with the score order here and just kind of give a small anecdote about each one of these wonderful seniors I have in front of me. And just, I'm sitting here trying to describe, like, come up with adjectives for them. And like I keep coming in with like dedicated and loyal and everything else. Like, what else is that? Certainly there's somebody in there who's punctilious, but no. Gage, your no-nonsense, kind of dry sarcasm that just gets under the edge of folks, but it's also so endearing because underneath that is a really, really kind-hearted, thoughtful person. And I remember you came in last year, I think, had a lesson about doing some high register stuff. And a little bit frustrated, you came back again and you could do it. And there's that moment like, yeah, I know how to do it. I can do this. I'm actually good at this. There's a lot of self-doubt that rolls around in there, but it doesn't have to be there. Haley, I know you are a quiet leader, a wonderfully observant, receptive, and diligent person. You're far more humble than you need to be. But I think that's part and parcel of who you are. You don't like the spotlight, but it likes you. Yeah, it does. I remember you came in and like, so what exactly is talking? What is actually articulation? And now, you're like, well, I mean, first band, whatever, in whatever region, like, you gotta do that. You gotta actually try for that. And I think it was like a week or two before all region auditions this year. I'm like, come on, Kayla, you owe me one. And she gets in there, she's like first band, second chair, and she's like just below the cup making an alternate for all state. Like, where have you been invited? Where have you been invited? So don't hide what you can do. Don't do that. Right? Or you weren't here last year, year before, the year after last year. No, you're a good sport, you become really dependable, you're thoughtful, you're excitable, but I think you're be around a pleasure to have in class. And I'm very glad to have you. All right. Now be sincere about it. Yeah. Zeke, I don't think I've met a kinder kid. I don't think I've met a more generous kid. I don't think I've met a more resourceful kid. Who, you have some self-doubt there, but like I told Gage, you can let that out. You can make that go away. You're very endearing. You're very diligent. There's a kindness in you that I see where you give a lot of yourself to other people. Make sure that you give some of that to yourself as well. Lucas, you can never wear a band t-shirt or a band merch that I wouldn't know who it was, or I didn't know somebody who either played with them or saw them at some point when I lived in Austin. Right? I can't remember who it's playing. It's not Skinny Puppy. It's not DRI or anything like that. I can't remember who it is in Little Rock, but you need to find out. So I can be like, yeah, I saw them back in 1990, whatever else. All right? No, you're a bright young lad, you're a fantastic human being, and you're going to knock the head at Oregon State in Corvallis. All right? Corey, your exuberance, your writing ability, holy crap, your writing ability. You're a really, really great writer. You're super loyal. You were really, really hesitant when you got here a couple of years ago. We had that conversation. You're like, I don't know if I should do bands. Like, it's a different thing. It's a different kettle of fish. Then you got in the jazz band. You started playing, getting more comfortable with your playing and who you were, and then you started playing a lot of trumpet, solos at Knockin' Dead, and you're just a wonderfully dedicated human being. Thank you for that. I'm about a third of the way through, it's okay. Patty, my dear Patty. No, I think for all of our quirks, I have them, you have them, you're probably the most steadfast person in this room. If you're going to say you're going to be somewhere, you're there. If you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. You are more than steadfast. You are more than dedicated. Okay? You're an honor to be around. Okay? Your enthusiasm, you're curious about a ton of stuff. Like you're sort of a polyhister, just grabbing up anything you can to learn about it and think about it. And that moves me, and that's really special. And I want to be able to hold on to that for myself. Lane. probably the most energetic and high-spirited person in here. No, you are, because you're always happy. There's always a smile there. Even if there's not, there's a smile there. You're like, are you talking about me? I'm like, yes, I see that. I perceive it. See, there's one right there. Okay? No, you're a fine trumpet player. You're a great human being. You know, I've gotten to enjoy watching your science experiments grow and change and foster and getting super obsessed with it. Just make sure you're super obsessive about all things as much as you can. I really enjoyed getting to know you better. Right? Titan. We got to share an anecdote about Titan that I heard maybe 20 minutes ago. So last year we did a pretty hard piece by Malcolm Morrow called Prelude Siciliano and Rondo, and in the second movement is a beautiful, lyrical, highly exposed trumpet solo. And he played it, nailed it, completely nailed it. We were chatting before the concert today. He's like, you know, that was kind of a transformative moment for me because I was doing something I never thought I would be able to do. I'm like, well, that's why you're here. That's why you're doing this. That's why you're in this group. That's why you're at this school. That's why you're in the position you're in life. So seize those things, seize those opportunities to try something new with both hands because I know you will, and I know that you have. Keep doing it. Make it proud. Evan, you are the quietest leader in this room. All right? You sincerely are. You put in the time, you put in the effort. You are, if Kaylee stays out of the spotlight, you stay out of Kaylee's spotlight. You are about far away from trying to take credit for things as possible, but that humility, I think, allows you to put all that energy in, improving, getting better, doing better. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, you came in trumpet, and you're like, I don't know, I'm kind of shaky, and now you're like laying it down in jazz band, and you're just like, you're on, you're focused, you're doing great stuff academically, you're just a lovely human being as well. You're all lovely human beings. I'm going to say that to all of you, and I mean it. I'm not going to wear it out, okay? But I know you're going to do so, and you're already doing so. Keep doing that, okay? Hero, you are probably the calm blue ocean of the trumpet section. You're the one who just like lets everything wash over them. You're dependable, you're reliable. That easygoing nature, I think, allows you to sort of stay on the periphery of things, which is good. But you've also been another kind of steadfast, dedicated person for me. And I know that the love of esports will take you far. However, I also know the love of your really diligent computer programming work will take you even further. So I'm just glad I got to know you over 3 years when my sophomores came in. Sailor, you're another one of these folks who's like just a fantastic writer, a fantastic creator. You're another one of these folks like Patty that if you're going to be there, you're going to be there. And I know you're going to be there. And I know how dedicated you are and how keen you are. You're observant. You kind of hang back and watch people, not in a judgy way. But, I'll give you an idea. Symposium last year, she wrote this short story about basically going to a family vacation, and I swear to God, I felt like I was right there watching the entire story unfold. It was one of the best pieces of student writing I think I've ever heard. So keep that up. Keep doing that. The world would be lost without that. Chris, you have grown tremendously in 3 years. You have become a great human being. I'm going to keep saying that, I mean it. But you have a desire to will, and the will to grow and learn, and try to learn about stuff. And I think you get a little bit further, you shy away from it. Don't do that. I know you're not shy about most anything, but always jump in. All right? Always jump in. Jenna is my quiet, constant, unassuming presence who can play the heck out of that euphonium, but is also sort of like, no. We had an ongoing joke most of the semester about playing a piece by a Japanese composer with a really big euphonium solo. She's like, I don't want to do it, I don't want to play it. And then we get my piece, she's like, well, we can do that one instead of yours. I'm like, okay, that's great. So there's a writing wit underneath that very calm, very kind of placid facade, where that brain is moving 8,000 miles a minute, it's as sharp as a tack aside. I'm missing it. Christine is my little polymath, my expert painter, my tick-loving, yes, you heard that right, my tick-loving scientist who's probably going to cure Lyme disease if I didn't know any better. You are one of the most resilient kids in this room. I think you're probably one of the most adaptable kids in this room. You're certainly one of the most loyal and curious. Thank you. Cassie, last and absolutely not least, This young lady came to my office the second week of her first year here, plopped down her laptop and said, okay, I need you to tell me the top 10 science programs at HBCUs that also have the greatest marching programs. And I need to know now. Like, you just got here, you're a junior 2 weeks in. She's like, yeah, I know, I'm planning. And my response was, clone yourself. Bring me 100 more of you. That planning, that thoughtfulness, that looking ahead, that thinking, and I know you probably want to like eviscerate me a little bit about tracking and all that. However, I've really gotten to, I really enjoyed the joke with you and watching you grow and develop as a tuba player and as a human being, and I wish you all the very best in that way to feelings. All my seniors, please stand up. Give them a round of applause. Next year, I'll still be here and hang around. The rest of y'all underclassmen, just expect similar fun speeches in the future. So thanks again for all of your hard work, your dedication, and your unique qualities that make you you, and make me be like, darn it, I wish Lucas was still here so I could complain about Hannibal Corpse or something like that. But anyway, our last piece of the evening is Chenyi's Spring Festival. It is loud, bombastic, and uses tons of nice Chinese percussion instruments. Chenyi is a fabulous composer. She teaches at University of Missouri, Kansas City as a distinguished professor of composition. And almost all of her music imbues ideas of East and West together. So in this piece, very long lines that sound sort of like Lunar New Year Festival. It's a great piece. It's fun, it's raucous, and I think it's a wonderful send-off to not just my seniors, but to this fabulous group that went to concert assessment this year as the honor band and came home with a score sheet where all their scores were about 5 points higher than the actual honor band that got the honor band title this year. We were the only 3A band with scores above 95, and the only one with a final score over 90. The next closest was 87. So they're really pretty good. So I thank you for coming. Thank you for coming out on this evening and listening to our concert, listening to me travel, and make my seniors cry just a little bit. So, appreciate y'all.
whole thing.
We're not trying to do the entire thing again. Thank you. We'll do the last movement, bluegrass stills from the Delta for you. Nice little 2-minute snappy, fast dance. It's always awkward. Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks all for coming out.